Genetic Roulette by Jeffrey Smith, who is the well, he's the head of the GMO movement, which is trying to bring this to a halt, and he's got a lot of documentation. But as far as scientific studies go, that's the problem. Nobody's doing it because nobody will pay for it, because the industry that has the money to pay for the studies doesn't want the study to be done. But we're not even necessarily here to back everything we say up with all this scientific data. We're here to make you aware of something that's going on in our community, and that is the potential for this massive slaughtering house to be built. It's going to be 5 separate farms where I don't understand the mathematics, because they're saying in one area, they're saying they're going to slaughter 600 cows a day, and then they say it's going to be 72,000 cows a year. But if you take a 5-day work week and take 600 cows a day and do the math, you come up with approximately 152,000 or something cows a year. So it's almost double what they're saying. So the whole flim-flam thing is already beginning to happen.
Okay.
And that concerns
the disinformation that our government is so notorious for.
And Bion is doing. And remember, Bion isn't actually going to be involved in any of this. Once it's approved, Bion has devised the system that they're claiming is going to be used to ensure that it doesn't damage the environment. We don't know who's actually going to build these.
But what's Bion?
Bion is a contract company that's selling this whole thing to the government. And once it's sold and it's approved,
so they're really selling it to the people, because the people technically are the government.
Well, they used to be, but
they used to be, and they still can be. Yeah. They just have to believe that.
Hopefully, that's why we're getting behind the people that are trying to stop this, because I still do believe that we can direct our government, especially in our smaller communities, that they still will listen to us. Though I've lost faith in the bigger picture of government, is not relevant to this issue. Bion is a contract company that's selling an idea and a process that they themselves are not going to be involved in enacting once the whole thing is approved and these things are built, and nobody really knows who's actually going to be doing the slaughter.
So their job is basically just to push this through to the public, and
get them to buy it, get the construction process started, and then God knows who we're dealing with.
So they have no accountability whatsoever.
They don't. They're done. They're out of it. And now, what agreements they've made, who's committed to it, I don't know. The other thing is, I have watched time and time again through the research and investigation that I've done on other environmental issues, that it is standard business practice in corporate America to calculate the cost of fines for environmental catastrophes into your cost of doing business, because they are ready and know that they're going to damage the environment, and they just calculate their fines into it. So if they get fined $750,000, they've already calculated that into their profitability, and they're ready to deal with it. Certainly they don't want it to happen because they don't want to deal with the fines, but they're preparing for it because they know it's going to happen. And I don't know for a fact, but I have no idea who gets that money outside of the Environmental Protection Agency or the USDA. I don't think the local communities get the $750,000 to fix the damage that's been done. So what the hell good is it to fine them? It doesn't help the problem.
It doesn't help the community.
Right. It doesn't help the problem or the community. So anyway, these are just some of the very brief and surface issues that concern me, and I'll have more solid information to offer as I continue to do the research to prepare for the meeting with the university tomorrow, the Green Group, and then eventually on the 23rd of September attending the one meeting of the board in Schroeppl that allows public input, which is one Thursday of the month. The rest of them, it's closed and nobody can say anything. So
now, have you looked into any of the environmental concerns yet?
Only so far what I've been told by the people in the community is there's a lot of danger because they're all on wells.
Okay.
It's more dangerous.
Right.
If there's seepage into the water tables for them, it could literally destroy them.
Right.
Where if they're on a city type of water system, it's another problem. It's not good, but it's not as bad.
It's not as bad for them
people on wells
individually.
deal with.
Now that's consideration because I live off a well and I don't want
A slaughterhouse near you.
Well, I don't want a slaughterhouse near me, but I also don't want city water.
Okay. Right.
Because they fluoridate it and
Right.
you know they put chlorine in it and
Right.
you know those are chemicals that our bodies weren't meant to deal with.
Sure.
And so they have an adverse effect on our health, which to me health is about sustainable living.
Right. So anyway, just to make you aware of this is going on, we'll continue to update you on the progress. I don't know. You want it, you don't want it. It's for you to decide. We'll provide as much information as we can. The other last concern I have is they're professing to bring 600 jobs to the community.
That was going to be my next question.
I don't believe any of these large corporations, because of the skill required to start these things up, that many people in the community are actually going to be hired. They're going to have to bring skilled people from outside of here because we don't have any slaughterhouses in this area.
We have butchers in this area. Every grocery store has a butcher.
Sure, but I don't know. I'm going to look into what their pay scale is going to be as well.
Right.
My understanding is it ain't much better than any other corporation, and I work for a very large one now, and it took me 6 years to get to $13 an hour.
Yeah.
And that's barely a living wage. So these young people that are working these places that have families, there's just again, it enters into a whole nother ball of problem. But the main thing is, we live in a beautiful part of the country, and once these things get started, you can't stop them. And sometimes, once the damage is done, you can't ever fix it.
Are there any other advantages that you could think of besides the jobs that it would bring to the area?
Not to my estimation. I don't, other than the fact that possibly some local politicians may be wealthier when the whole thing is over. But that's a negative comment
Very well
on
said.
my part.
I would just like to give this, this issue fair merit, both on pluses and minuses, so that we can look at it objectively.
Sure.
Instead of taking the position that we're just against it. I would rather take the position that we should look at it openly, honestly, and fairly, and see the pluses and the minuses, and weigh them against each other, and then make an informed, intelligent decision, taking into consideration, what type of impact this is going to have on our children and our grandchildren and that kind of thing. Because in today's society, everything seems so short-sighted. They do all these things that seem like they're so great to do now, and then 10 years later they have monumental problems that nobody knows how to solve.
Right.
Or not without a lot of major expense or headaches. And those are just things that we should look to avoid in sustainable living.
Right, and there's another concern that the community has, which is valid. They don't know what their property values are going to go to if this place ends up being a disgusting, reeking, odoring, producing.
Well, they can't get
mess.
Worse than nothing, can they?
I believe they can.
Okay, you have to pay people to take
nothing, and it stinks. I don't know. I don't think that's good. And I know Bion and these people also talk about the fact that they are going to be working with Sunoco, which is the biofuel thing up in Fulton. And that's a whole nother ball of wax that nobody has really been able to confirm. But the production cost of producing this alternate biofuel is not sustainable in itself.
So you're talking about you think they're stating they're going to make fuel from the byproducts of the slaughterhouse.
Somehow, I have to, again, they actually mentioned in their presentation that they will be working with Sunoco. What they're going to be doing with them, I don't know.
But I don't know either. I haven't heard of it.
Maybe they're going to be buying